1 week left, 1 episode left, and this anime season is about over. So Overlord is about to come to an end with one more final episode coming up next week. And I think we can all say that these final couple episodes of Overlord have been very controversial for the fan base of Overlord's light novel series and the anime series, because there's a huge divide from the light novel readers from the anime onlys, and I myself included have probably been a part of this entire discussion. But the thing is, okay, with this episode, it is a battle-orientated episode, and I kind of assumed that Madhouse, since they were kind of rushing the past couple episodes, they were trying to make more room and time for the final battle with Shalltear versus Ainz. And that's kind of what we're getting into. This episode was pretty much Ainz versus Shalltear, and then the next episode is going to be concluding that entire match for the season finale. Now, judging by the way this episode was done, I'm going to assume that anime onlys are going to love this episode. And myself included, I have to admit, I actually enjoyed this episode. It's pretty fun, and it had some great moments about it. Now, there is some issues I will tackle in a minute. If I was watching this as an anime only, I would say that this episode was magnificent. A little bit underwhelming, but it was magnificent nonetheless, because some of the way the fight scenes were done, even though the animation was lacking in some of the scenes, or majority of the scenes, it still looked pretty damn cool, especially with Ainz using his magic, you know, his protection, and all these different spells. It just shows you how strong Ainz is, and what type of level of fight this really is when it comes to Shalltear versus Ainz. And so, if I was an anime only, I'd look at this episode like, oh my fucking god, this is epic. That's exactly what I would say. And even though I am a light novel reader, I have to admit, it was cool. But there's a couple things I want to mention here. There was some explanations cut out throughout this episode, and I think if you're an anime only, you're probably questioning this. What was the spell that Ainz used at the end of the episode, when the entire world turned into a giant-ass desert and everything died around? That right there, the entire explanation to that ability and how OP Ainz was cut out in this episode. Along with Shalltear and Ainz's abilities being explained, were pretty much axed in this episode just to have action scenes. And that's not really just the main point I want to discuss. Some of the scenes that Madhouse decided to animate in this episode, I felt like were very sloppy, especially when it came to the exposition of Ainz versus Shalltear when they were having the conversation between each other. What I'm getting at is when Ainz and Shalltear were talking in this episode, all action kind of ended. There was no conversation going on while they were fighting. And when I was reading the light novel, I had the impression that Ainz and Shalltear were having, like, narrations inside their head, like inner monologues, while going at each other and beating the fucking shit out of each other. And with the episode, it shows you, like, they're stopping, they're talking, they stop, and then you get to see, you know, these still frames going on as they're talking, and I'm going to assume that's a way for Madhouse to save budget, because of the way they just stop fighting for them to talk, because it would be a lot harder to animate scenes while they're talking, and also battling at the exact same time. So I see where Madhouse went with that when it came to the animation and budget and the production. They wanted to save time and production value just to be able to get the series out, and they're probably saving their really good team, like their best team and directors, for One Punch Man that'll be coming out next season. But for now, getting back onto the episode, when it came to the talking, I really wish they had like a narrator talking while there was a fight going on, like something like Hunter x Hunter. You remember in Hunter x Hunter episode 210, 211, and further on, there was a narrator that was constantly talking while battles happened throughout Hunter x Hunter 2011. That's something I would have loved to see in this episode. Like, it didn't have to be Ainz, it didn't have to be Shalltear talking, but what if there was like a narrator, because that would make it to where the characters didn't have to move their lips, for instance. There could have been a narrator talking over them, explaining their abilities, and just imagine how badass that would have been. It would give that Hunter x Hunter feel, would have drawn in those Hunter x Hunter fans, since Madhouse knows they have a lot of fans of Hunter x Hunter, since that's what really made them popular, like really popular in recent years. It kind of makes me upset that was a missed opportunity with this episode. So, getting off the negative stuff, getting back onto the positive stuff, the episode, even though it was underwhelming, and there were some things I wish would have been a lot better, the fight was still good as an anime only, if you look past the missing information with some of the explanations. But besides that, episode, yeah, it was enjoyable. I mean, I'm glad to see these scenes animated, and if there's one thing I will commend Madhouse for, I will commend them for actually animating this series and showcasing this series for other people can find this series as a light novel and read it. So I will commend Madhouse there for them, at the very least, showing me this series where I can read it, because I am loving the light novel right now. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, episode, let me know your thoughts. Anime onlys, light novel readers, please let me know your honest to God thoughts in the comments below. Yeah, love you, please be safe. Chibi out.